What's going on, everyone? This is Vinny Rodriguez, also known as 8-Figure Vision. I'm here to share with you the next in our vast book series. A book called How Google Works. Now, guys, for those of you that know, I follow Tai Lopez's book list. I follow Tai Lopez's book list. And one of the things that I've learned, this is one of his selections off of the book list. One of the things that I really learned from this book is that, and especially just reading in general, is to read more autobiographies, right? And upon reading more autobiographies, I've learned how to learn from other people's mistakes, to learn from other people's successes in ways that I can also apply and implement in my life, right? So these, one of the things I learned about the book about Google though, which I found was different, this talks about the way that the founders had shaped it, started it, grown it, and then transformed it time and time again, was something that spoke to this book is not an autobiography. It's a personal development book. It's a self-help book, right? Because everything everything that's spoken of in this book is founded on the principle of Google, right? How Google works. So Google is showing, right? Why does so many people want to work at Google? Why is Google known as one of the top companies ever to work for? Why is Google such a fun place? It's the way that they shape the culture. It's the way that they shape the environment. So in this book, right, most autobiographies don't come with pictures, but in this book you'll get a sense of, right, what the Google culture is like, but then why they call Google what it is today, how it came about, and then why is the culture so powerful, and in many ways why is it so important to implement some of their philosophies. So one of my favorite chapters in this book is about decisions. It's decision making, right? And the reason why I found this so powerful, this chapter, was because it really goes through some core essentials that so many people need to know. For example, making fewer decisions, right? This is all about, how do we make effective, smart decisions in a quicker amount of time so that we can be the most productive and not waste our time going around and, just repeating the same thing and just over and over again, right? Meeting every day. Are you and your organization meeting every day, right? Are you and your organization really having these types of conversations in which you can, when you're faced with something critical, that there's actually some sort of value, right? There's some sort of exchange from one party to another. When you meet, are you just meeting for the sake of meeting? Or are you meeting with a purpose? What is the takeaway? What is each person getting from there, right? Is it just a debate and someone's trying to prove a point? Or is there more to it? Is this something that's showing now, all right, we're going to, when we meet today, we're going in so that we can establish this, right? Is it oriented towards your actions and your goals? Meet every day, right? You're both right. What happens when you have two disagreeing parties? Each of those parties now, they both want to be right. So how do you handle that? If you're a manager or supervisor, make sure just tell them they're both right. That way that immediately eliminates the tension, and now you have a space that you can now say, great, now let's look at our conclusions, let's reflect, evaluate, and make some objective decisions here. See how different that is versus just two people debating and trying to prove a point. So there's a lot more in this chapter that I would go over. Of course, it's best that you guys pick up the book and read it. But goodness, I mean, they talk about reviewing yourself, right? And it's funny, they even talked about email wisdom, right? What's a great productive way in which you can start writing an email? You know, for example, every word matters, right? Think of every single word that you write. How many of those words are being, I'm even thinking of every word I'm saying at the moment. How many of your words are truly delivering the message that you intend to render? You have to think of that, right? Sometimes we just get wordy, or we don't say enough. Either way, we have to be cognizant of what we say in our wording. Clean out your inbox constantly, right? How much time do we actually spend looking through our inbox? Think of that. We don't think of that stuff. It's the same thing as Facebook. How much time are you spending after you, and this is not, you know, some of you are going to look at this and you're going to say, oh, well, I'm not going on Facebook just to scroll in other people's messages. I post, I add value. Great. However, have you paid attention to how much time you spend after? How much time you spend immediately after you put in your post that now you're spending scrolling, right? Well, that's something else to pay attention to, right? Is how are we utilizing that time? How productive are we? Right? Handling, they also, I mean, they're really looking at everything in this book. I mean, everything that connects the human to the internet, that connects the human to the search engine and the overall World Wide Web. I mean, it's no wonder that they're a $1 billion company, right? I mean, they talked about handling your email in last in, first out order. You know, don't yell when you're writing an email, right? Email etiquette. Don't overcapitalize. Have a playbook. So, I mean, they go into it very, very intensely. Specifically, a lot of these things I'm actually have written down. I journal every day. So there's specific tips that I'm gonna apply in my business with my team as well. So, but goodness, I mean, they have a great sense of imagination, of ingenuity, and intelligence that allows them to continue to stay creative. And there's a lot of things to learn from this book. So, you know, obviously there's praise. I mean, I don't think they need any more praise. Although, you know, the culture is just as serious, right? It's just as button up and a shirt and tie and everything as it also is fun. And in what way is that we take our work as seriously as our freedom? And Google really has found a way. I mean, they talked about designing the overall headquarters, the building, and the initial sense of when they first created it, they did it for the smart creative to thrive, right? They created these open spaces for people to, right? The managers and the supervisors, they would be the ones that would get the closed door spaces because they would have more higher level thinking meetings, right? But then for the mass employees, right, sometimes to generate ideas into their mind, Google, as a part of its campus, they would create these open spaces that would allow people that it was just like constant immersion of ideas, constant intensity, right? People would just kind of go like, you know, there was a lot of noise and a lot of impact and a lot of energy all going on at the same time. Think of a gas, right? Think of a gas in a space, right? Just particles bouncing all over each other at the same time. Well, very similar in Google, right? They created that so that people would have no option other than to have to sit in an intense environment in which they can fully share ideas, thoughts. You can't be quiet in a Google space. You can't, until you need some private meditating or napping time. You can go into one of the more private rooms that they have there, and really kind of get your mind straight. So they really have. These are some things to think about. What are some ways in which you can really improve the culture, the space, the way in which your people interact with one another? Well, this is all in this book. So this is not a biography on Larry Page, right? This is not a biography on Alan Eagle. This is a straight up personal development book, self-help, really